Have you ever felt like you're losing a game you don't even know the rules to? Like you're banging your head against a wall, desperately trying to reach someone, only to be met with coldness, invalidation, and fresh manipulations? If so, chances are you've encountered a narcissist. And you've probably heard all the standard advice: set boundaries, talk about your feelings, be open and honest. Psychologists offer dozens of tips, but they often leave out the most critical point, that all these methods are basically like trying to play chess with a pigeon. It'll just knock over all the pieces, crap on the board, and fly away to tell everyone how it won. In this video, I'm going to reveal the one single strategy for defeating a narcissist. This isn't a magic pill, it's a strategic method, a method that strips them of their core power and hands the control back to you. And this is something you won't hear about in a cozy therapist's office, because this approach demands not compromise, but a total paradigm shift. Ready to learn how you actually win this game? Then stick around until the end. Before we dive into the strategy itself, let's take a quick moment to clearly define who exactly we are dealing with. This is critically important. We are not talking about someone with high self-esteem or someone who is occasionally selfish. We are talking about narcissistic personality disorder, or put simply, a predator in human form. The key word here is predator. Their main goal isn't love or genuine partnership, it's securing a resource. This narcissistic supply is your attention, your emotions, your suffering, your joy, your successes, and your failures. Any strong emotional reaction from you is food for them. They are like an energy vampire, feeding on your vital life force. And the most terrifying delusion victims fall into is the belief that a narcissist possesses the same emotional landscape as they do, that somewhere inside there is sympathy, empathy, or the capacity for remorse. There isn't. Imagine a vending machine. You drop in a coin, your emotion, and you get a can of manipulation. You can drop in different coins: anger, tears, love, please. But the machine will only ever dispense what it's programmed to give. It can't give you juice or coffee. Similarly, a narcissist cannot give you empathy or genuine love. Understanding this is step 0, and it is the most crucial realization. You are not dealing with a person in the conventional sense. You are dealing with a function, a program designed solely to absorb resources, and the only way to defeat this program is to stop feeding it the energy it needs to run. This is the foundation upon which the entire method is built. So, the first and core principle of the methodology we are calling the black hole is the absolute and total annihilation of all your illusions. You must not just understand this, but accept it on a cellular level. A narcissist will never hear this, never change. They will not get better. They won't realize their wrongdoings, they won't repent, and they certainly won't love you the way you deserve. Every promise, every tear, every oath is simply a tactical shift to secure more of their supply. It's like a predator learning to cry or fake remorse just to lure in its prey. The nature of the beast remains unchanged. Psychologists often suggest couples therapy, dialogue, and finding compromises. With a narcissist, this is a fatal trap. You go to therapy to solve the problem. They go to gain a new ally in the therapist and acquire more sophisticated manipulation tools. They will charm the professional, paint you as the hysterical and irrational one, and then turn psychological terminology against you. "You're gaslighting me," they will tell you, right after twisting reality completely upside down yet again. Therefore, your first task is to perform an internal ritual of farewell, a farewell to hope. Picture the person you initially fell in love with or admired. Now, mentally bury them, mourn their loss, because that person never actually existed. It was a mask, a demo version custom designed specifically to hook you. The person you are living with right now, that is the real deal, empty, cold, and eternally hungry. As long as you cling to the hope that that person will return, you remain vulnerable. You will repeatedly fall for their idealization phases, the charm offensive they stage the moment they sense you are about to leave. This is their way of recharging your hope battery so they can feed off it for several more months. So right now, accept this as an axiom, a law of physics. Water is wet, the sky is blue, and the narcissist will not change. This isn't pessimism. This is the realism that sets you free. This is ground zero, the starting point for your path to victory. Without this step, everything else is meaningless because you will constantly take one step forward and two steps back, driven by false hope. Accepting this truth is painful, like surgery without anesthesia, but without it, the wound will never heal and will perpetually poison your life. The next critical step, arising directly from accepting reality, is the full and unconditional demolition of your role as the savior or healer. This is one of the most common traps for highly empathic people, the very people who often become the narcissist's victims. You believe that your love, your patience, and your inherent goodness can somehow heal his wounded soul. You don't see a monster. You see a small, deeply hurt child who just needs to be loved enough. This is the greatest illusion and the greatest favor you are doing for the narcissist. He masterfully cultivates a feeling of guilt and responsibility within you. He will recount stories about his terrible childhood, about ex-partners who never understood him, and about the cruel world. He positions himself as the ultimate victim simply so you feel compelled to rescue him. But understand this, you cannot save someone who is actively drowning and simultaneously pulling you down to the bottom with all their might. Your empathy isn't medicine for him, it's his favorite meal. Every time you show sympathy for his fabricated or exaggerated suffering, you hand over your vital energy. You are trying to fill a bottomless well with your life force, but it immediately drains out, leaving the well just as empty and leaving you completely depleted. Imagine a doctor trying to treat a patient, but instead of taking the medication, the patient uses it to create a poison that they then use to attack the doctor. Absurd, right? That is exactly what is happening in your relationship. You are not his therapist, you are not his parent, you are not his savior, you are his source of supply. Your job is to quit this unpaid and destructive position immediately. This requires a radical shift in your thinking. Instead of asking, well, how can I help him? Your main question must be, how can I help myself? Shift the focus of compassion from him back to you. Look in the mirror at the person you betrayed for the sake of saving someone else. Look at your tired eyes, your lost dreams. That is who truly needs rescuing. That is who needs your love and care. The narcissist will survive without you. He will simply find another source. He is like a mosquito. He will fly off in search of another victim the moment he realizes there is no more blood here. But you cannot survive without yourself. So stop all attempts to understand him, make excuses for him, or forgive him. This does not work with predators. You don't try to understand a hungry tiger, you save your life. The principle here is exactly the same. Dismantling the role of the savior is an act of supreme self-love and the second most crucial step toward your liberation. The third cornerstone of the black hole method is the information diet. The narcissist builds their power entirely on information. They are like a spider weaving a web from your secrets, fears, desires, and weaknesses. Everything you tell them will be used against you. Not might be used, but definitively will be. Think about how often your own intimate revelations later came back to bite you, hurled back as sarcastic accusations during a fight. Your insecurities about your appearance, your job fears, your issues with your parents, none of this is fuel for their support. It's ammunition for their psychological arsenal. That's why you must immediately shut down this channel, become an information vacuum to them. This is essentially an advanced version of the grey rock method. However, grey rock is often misunderstood. People try to be boring, but they still disclose facts. When asked, "How was your day?" they might respond, "Fine, I was at work, then I stopped by the store." Even this minimal information is a resource for the narcissist. They now know you were at work and went shopping. They can latch onto it. Why were you so late? What did you buy? Who were you talking to? Your goal isn't just to be a grey rock, but a true black hole that absorbs information without giving anything back. To every question, respond as vaguely and unemotionally as possible. How are you? Various. What's new? Nothing much. What are you thinking about? Just stuff. Your answers must be dead ends. They should offer no hook for further dialogue. This applies not only to personal details, but also to your opinions. Stop arguing with the narcissist. Stop trying to prove you are right. It is completely pointless. Their goal is not to find the truth, but to provoke an emotional reaction. When you argue, you give them exactly what they want, your energy. Instead, use the agree and forget technique. Do you believe the earth is flat? Maybe there's something to that. Do you think I'm right about everything? That's an interesting perspective. And that's it. No follow-up. Zero engagement. Act as if you are watching a one-person show. They can scream, cry, accuse. You are merely an audience member who will not jump onto the stage and participate in the performance. Initially, this will provoke rage. They will try to pierce your armor, escalating their provocations. This is known as an extinction burst. This is a good sign. It means the method is working, and they are panicking because their supply has been cut off. Your task is to weather this storm while remaining an impenetrable black hole. It's hard, but it is the only way forward. The fourth, and arguably the most difficult element of this strategy to master, is emotional detachment. The narcissist is a master manipulator of your feelings. They know your pressure points better than you know them yourself. They will systematically exploit your guilt, shame, fear, and sense of obligation. They will provoke jealousy, then accuse you of being untrustworthy. They will bait you into anger, only to turn around and paint you as crazy or unstable. Your emotional reaction is their ultimate validation. It confirms their power and significance. For them, it's the ultimate jackpot. To win, you must deny them that prize. You need to become an emotional bankrupt to them. How do you achieve this? Through the practice of conscious observation of your emotions. Imagine your feelings aren't you, but merely the weather within you. Here comes a shower of sadness. There goes a gust of anger. You don't try to stop the rain or the wind. You simply observe them while wearing your raincoat and holding your umbrella. This technique is known as emotional containment. When the narcissist says something hurtful, your initial reaction will be pain, anger, or the urge to defend yourself. Don't suppress that emotion. Acknowledge it. Mentally tell yourself, I feel intense hurt right now because their words are unfair. Then, instead of unleashing that hurt back at them, you place it into an imaginary container. You tell yourself, I will deal with this emotion later when I am safe and alone. Right now, my sole mission is to deny them the supply. And externally, you remain perfectly calm. Your face expresses nothing. Your voice is level. This drives the narcissist insane. They are pushing all your buttons, but not a single light is turning on. They get no feedback. For them, it's like talking to a brick wall. A highly effective strategy is the external observer technique. In the moment of attack, imagine you are watching a nature documentary. Here is the lion, the narcissist, attacking the antelope, you. But you are not the antelope. You are the camera operator filming the scene from the outside. You observe with detached interest. Oh, how fascinating how they use this particular manipulation. Now they are attempting to induce guilt, a classic move. This approach instantly lowers the emotional intensity and transforms a tragedy into a farce. You stop being a participant and become an objective researcher. Remember, your emotions belong solely to you. You are not obligated to share them with someone who uses them as a weapon against you. Emotional detachment is your shield. And the stronger that shield is, the sooner the predator will realize the hunt is officially over. Step 5 is about building and fortifying your external world. The narcissist strives for total control. Ideally, he wants you living in a vacuum where he is the sole source of information, opinions, emotions, and meaning. He will systematically dismantle your connections with friends, family, and colleagues. He will devalue your passions, hobbies, and career. Anything that makes you independent and strong is perceived as a direct threat. because it offers you an alternative source of validation and self-worth. He needs your self-esteem to be entirely dependent on his approval or disapproval. Your task, therefore, is to move in the exact opposite direction. You must consciously and methodically build a life outside of his control. This is your secret garden, a place he is not permitted to enter. Start small. Reconnect with a friend you haven't seen in ages. Sign up for a class you've always wanted to take, whether that's yoga, painting, or a foreign language. Find a hobby that brings you genuine joy and is entirely unrelated to him. This could be anything: solitary walks in the park, reading books, or volunteering. The key is that this space belongs only to you. Initially, the narcissist will almost certainly try to sabotage this. He will devalue your pursuits. You're wasting time on this nonsense. Induce guilt. You're spending time on that instead of being with me. Or start a fight right before you need to leave. This is where you apply the previous steps. Do not engage in arguments, do not react emotionally, and do not share information. Yes, dear, you're right. It is total nonsense, you say with a neutral expression, and calmly proceed to enjoy your nonsense. Every trip out, every meeting with friends, every minute dedicated to yourself is a brick in the wall of your independence. You are essentially building a fortress from the inside, while the jailer still thinks you are trapped in his cell. Furthermore, this process creates what is known as external validation. You stop needing his approval because you are receiving positive reinforcement and confirmation of your worth from other sources. You see that other people value you, respect you, and genuinely enjoy spending time with you. This slowly but surely rebuilds the self-esteem the narcissist has spent so long systematically tearing down. Building this external world is not running away from the problem. It is establishing a vital staging ground for your future victory. It is the necessary accumulation of strength and resources for the final, decisive step. The sixth element of the black hole method is emotionless mirroring. This is a subtle yet powerful tool that must be used cautiously, but it can be incredibly effective at destabilizing a narcissist and exposing the absurdity of their behavior. The core idea is to reflect their words or actions, but with a complete absence of emotional coloring. This is not sarcasm, irony, or passive aggression. It is dry, factual repetition. For example, suppose a narcissist screams at you in anger, "You never listen to me, you're totally selfish." Instead of defending yourself or shouting back, "No, you're the one who never listens," you pause. You look at them with a calm, almost vacant gaze, and in an even voice you state, "I hear that you believe I am selfish and that I never listen to you." Then you remain silent. What happens in that moment? First, you deny them the emotional supply. There is no fear, anger, or hurt. Second, you return their projection right back to them. You don't argue with it. You merely state the perceived fact. That is what you believe. This forces them to hear their own words played back, and often it sounds outlandish even to them. They expect a fight, but they receive a mirror. Here's another example. They accuse you of something you didn't do. "You lost the keys, I distinctly remember." Instead of arguing, you calmly say, "You believe that I lost the keys." Notice the crucial difference. Not "no, I didn't," but specifically, "You believe that." You shift the focus from the alleged fact, the lost keys, to their perception of that fact. You are not challenging their reality. You are simply separating it from your own. This prevents them from drawing you into gaslighting. They cannot make you doubt yourself because you are not asserting the opposite. You are merely acknowledging their opinion. This technique works particularly well with their contradictory demands. In the morning, they say, "I hate it when you wear red." In the evening, "Why do you never wear anything bright?" Previously, you might have exploded over this. Now you calmly state, "This morning you said you dislike red. This evening you are asking why I don't wear bright colors. I note a contradiction here." And again, silence. You are not accusing or reproaching them. You are simply documenting two incompatible facts, like a computer. This short-circuits their program. They don't know how to react when their manipulations fail and are simply broken down into components. Remember, the main principle is a total absence of emotion. Your tone should be as flat as if you were reading a weather report. This turns their formidable weapon into childish babbling. Step 7 of your strategy is financial and legal preparation. While this might sound dry and utterly unromantic, it is perhaps the single most critical step toward your freedom. The narcissist frequently weaponizes money and formal legal obligations to maintain control. He likely controls all family finances, forcing you to account for every single penny. He may have put all assets in his name, or perhaps even his mother's. He will threaten to take the children if you leave, claiming he has the best lawyers money can buy. As long as you are financially and legally dependent, you are a hostage. Therefore, in parallel with your psychological healing work, you must begin quiet, methodical preparation on this front. This is your covert operation. First, begin building your own secret financial reserve. This could be a small amount skimmed from each paycheck or income from a side hustle he doesn't know about. Open a bank account that is entirely off his radar. This is your crucial escape fund, your safety net that will give you the option to leave when the time is right. Even a small amount of money in your own name gives you immense confidence. Second, gather all critical documents. So this means your personal papers, such as your passport and birth certificate, children's documents, property deeds, and the marriage certificate. Make copies and hide them securely outside the home with trusted family members, a loyal friend, or in a safety deposit box. When you decide to make your exit, you won't have the time to search for them. Third, if your situation involves shared assets or children, schedule a confidential consultation with an attorney. Do this purely for intelligence gathering. You need to understand your rights. What are you legally entitled to in a divorce? What is the reality regarding child custody? Knowledge is power. The narcissist will try to scare you with fictional laws and claims of powerful connections. When you know your actual rights, his threats become meaningless noise. Fourth, if you haven't been working or have been working informally, start planning your route to financial independence. Update your resume, take skills courses, and start looking for job opportunities. Even if you don't intend to leave tomorrow, the very fact that you can support yourself fundamentally changes your internal position. You stop being a supplicant and become an equal partner who can stand up and walk away at any moment. All of this preparation must be conducted in the strictest secrecy. The narcissist must suspect nothing. You must continue to play your role, but like an operative behind enemy lines, you are meticulously preparing your path to retreat and freedom. This work will give you an enormous sense of strength and control over the situation. The 8th step of the black hole method focuses on taking back control of your body and physical health. Narcissistic abuse isn't just psychological warfare. It's the slow, systematic destruction of your physical well-being. The constant stress you live under isn't an abstract idea. It's measurable, specific hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline flooding your bloodstream 24 hours a day. This toxic cocktail leads to real physical consequences: sleep disorders, digestive issues like IBS, chronic headaches, muscle tension, a weakened immune system, skin problems, and hair loss. Your body is screaming for help, but because you're so focused on trying to fix the relationship, you often ignore these crucial signals. That's why reconnecting with your physical self is the most critical step toward healing and regaining your personal power. Start with the absolute basics: sleep. Narcissists frequently sabotage their victims' sleep. They start arguments right before bed or wake you up in the middle of the night just to talk. Sleep is non-negotiable. Do whatever it takes to establish a routine. If necessary, sleep in a separate room, perhaps using a headache as an excuse. Sleep deprivation makes you highly vulnerable to manipulation. Next up, nutrition. When under stress, people either lose their appetite entirely or start stress-eating unhealthy comfort food. Start eating mindfully, not for weight loss, but to properly nourish your body and give it the resources it needs to fight. This is a profound act of self-care. The third element is movement. You don't need to break Olympic records. Start small with a simple daily walk. 30 to 40 minutes of fresh air walking can work miracles. Physical activity helps burn off those stress hormones and releases endorphins, your feel-good chemicals. Yoga, dancing, swimming, find whatever brings you joy. Through movement, you are literally shaking the accumulated tension and trauma out of your body. Pay close attention to your breathing. During times of high stress, we start taking shallow breaths or habitually hold our breath. Several times a day, practice this simple exercise. Slow inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, and then a slow exhale for a count of 8. This instantly activates your parasympathetic nervous system and helps you calm down. Taking care of your body is not selfish. It is your primary duty. You cannot win this war if your main soldier, your body, is depleted and sick. By restoring your physical health, you send a powerful signal to your subconscious mind. I choose life. I choose myself. This rediscovered internal strength will be palpable on the outside. Step 9 is all about reassessing and rebuilding your personal boundaries. The term personal boundaries might be completely overused, but in the context of a relationship with a narcissist, it takes on a crucial life-or-death significance. A narcissist doesn't just violate your boundaries, he systematically dismantles and destroys them. He trains you to believe you have no right to your own opinion, personal time, privacy, or the ability to say no. You cease to be an individual. You become an extension of him, merely a function. Rebuilding these boundaries is a long and meticulous process, much like restoring a country devastated by war. You need to start small with things that might seem insignificant. For instance, your physical privacy. If he walks into the bathroom without knocking while you're in there, start calmly and unemotionally saying, "Please knock before you enter." He will, of course, ignore it or ridicule you. But you must keep repeating it every single time. Use a steady, monotone voice. No anger, just like a parrot. Your goal isn't to force him to change. It's to train yourself. To realize that you have a right to a closed door. Another example is your time. If he calls you 100 times a day while you're at work, you can say, "I'm working. I will call you back during my lunch break." And then don't answer the phone until the break. He will be furious. He will accuse you of indifference. But you have to stand firm. You are not obligated to be available 24/7. The most difficult boundary is the emotional one. You must learn to say no to his attempts to make you responsible for his feelings. When he says, "You upset me," you used to immediately apologize and make excuses. Now you can simply say, "I'm sorry you feel upset." And that's it. You acknowledge his feeling, but you don't take the blame for it. His emotions are his responsibility. He is an adult and he must handle them himself. It is vital to understand when setting boundaries with a narcissist, you are not trying to re-educate him. You are doing this purely for yourself. Every boundary you uphold is an act of self-respect. It's like telling your inner self, "Look, I am protecting you. I will not let anyone treat you this way again." Initially, this will trigger tremendous guilt because he has trained you to believe that any need you have is selfish, but over time you will feel an incredible surge of relief and empowerment. You will start to remember what it's like to be an individual, not just someone's shadow. The 10th and crucial turning point in the black hole strategy is surrendering the need to be understood. This is one of the deepest human needs, to be validated and understood, especially by those close to us. And this very need is where the narcissist plays their game with virtuoso skill. You spend hours, days, even years trying to explain yourself to them. You carefully choose your words, provide examples, and appeal to their logic and their feelings. You desperately want them to finally see the situation through your eyes, to acknowledge the pain they are causing you, but every single time you fail. Your explanations are twisted, your feelings are dismissed, and the conversation inevitably ends with you somehow being the one at fault again. you must face a brutal truth: they will never understand you. And not because they lack the ability, but because they lack the desire. Understanding you is simply disadvantageous to them. If they acknowledge your pain, they would have to acknowledge that they are the source of it, that they are the villain. This is intolerable for their fragile ego. It is far easier and more convenient for them to label you as irrational, hysterical, or overly sensitive. This lets them maintain their self-image as the innocent white knight or the perpetually suffering victim. Therefore, your mission is to completely abandon this battle. Stop explaining, stop justifying yourself, stop searching for validation in their eyes. It's like trying to teach a cat the theory of relativity. It's a pointless waste of energy. The next time they accuse you of something absurd, your standard response must be, "Okay, I hear you," or "I understand that's how you see the situation." Period. You are not agreeing with them. You are simply confirming that their sound waves have reached your ears. You are no longer attempting to correct their distorted reality. Let them live in their fabricated world where they are the hero and you are the villain. Why should you care? Your reality is yours alone. You do not need their approval or confirmation for it to be valid. This single step releases a colossal amount of energy. Imagine how much power you were wasting on those endless arguments and relational conflicts. Now you can redirect all of that energy back onto yourself, into your work, your hobbies, and your healing process. Giving up the need to be understood is the ultimate act of psychological separation from the narcissist. You acknowledge that you are two separate worlds, two different universes that will never intersect, and that is perfectly okay. This gives you the freedom to simply be yourself without needing to check your reflection in their distorted mirror. The 11th step is documentation. Yes, you heard that right. You need to become the chronicler of your life with the narcissist. Why is this necessary? The reason is gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious and destructive forms of manipulation. The narcissist systematically makes you doubt your own memory, the validity of your perception, and ultimately your sanity. He will deny plain, obvious facts. "I never said that. You're imagining things. You just make things up. You're overreacting." Over time, you genuinely start to believe you are losing your mind. Your reality becomes fluid, slipping away. You stop trusting yourself. Documentation is your anchor to reality. Start a secret journal, use password-protected notes on your phone, or email detailed accounts to a dedicated, separate email address. After every significant incident, an argument, a manipulation, an insult, write down exactly what happened. Keep it strictly factual, stripping away the emotion. Record the date, time, and location. What did he say, verbatim, if possible? What did you say in response, and how did you feel? For example, October 10th, 10 p.m. in the kitchen. I mentioned that I was tired. He responded by calling me a lazy, selfish egoist who never does anything. He started shouting. I felt completely worthless. It might feel awkward or strange at first, but after some time, when you reread these entries, you will be horrified. Firstly, you will see the patterns. You'll notice the same manipulations repeating themselves over and over again. These are not random outbursts of anger. This is a system. Secondly, the next time he tells you that never happened, you can open your journal and confirm that it absolutely did. This prevents him from shaking your confidence again. You will know you are not crazy. You have proof. Thirdly, these records will become a powerful source of motivation when you are ready to leave. During the idealization phase, when the narcissist suddenly becomes perfect again, you'll be tempted to forget all the bad things and believe him one more time. In that moment, open your diary. Reread the entries detailing your tears, humiliation, and fear. This will instantly sober you up and remind you exactly why you decided to leave. This journal is your personal black book. It is the objective history of your abuse. And in the future, should things escalate to court proceedings, for custody battles or asset division, these records, especially if backed up by screenshots of texts or audio recordings, please check the legality of recording in your jurisdiction. can become very compelling evidence. Start documenting your personal hell today. It will help you preserve your sanity and find your way out. The 12th component of the black hole method is the complete rejection of guilt. Guilt is the narcissist's primary instrument of control. He is a virtuoso at manufacturing it. You will be blamed for everything: his bad mood, his failures at work, the rain outside, the fact that the soup isn't hot enough. He will sigh, roll his eyes, and give you the silent treatment for hours, leaving you tormented by the question, "What did I do wrong?" And you, being an empathic person accustomed to taking responsibility, will begin soul-searching, frantically digging for your mistake. You will find it, even if it wasn't there to begin with. You'll start apologizing for things you haven't even done, desperate to stop the torture of silence or passive aggression. You must understand this. It is not your fault. It is his strategy. He is deflecting responsibility for his own inner emptiness and worthlessness onto you. He needs a scapegoat to avoid confronting himself. Therefore, you must learn to catch this feeling of guilt by the tail and dissect it. The moment you feel that familiar sting, pause and ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling guilty about right now? Did I genuinely do something wrong, or is this just what he wants me to believe? Separate real accountability from manufactured guilt. If you were truly in the wrong, for instance, you forgot an important request, you can calmly say, yes, I forgot, that was my mistake. But if he accuses you of upsetting him simply because you wanted to meet a friend, that is pure manipulation. Your job is to mentally hand that gift right back to him. Visualize taking the feeling of guilt he placed on you and gently setting it back on his shoulders, saying, "This belongs to you. You deal with it." The narcissist will induce the most intense guilt when you start pulling away or preparing to leave. He will claim you are destroying the family, depriving the children of their father, or that he will fall apart, get sick, or even take his own life without you. This is the apex of manipulation. Remember this. You are only responsible for your own life and happiness and the well-being of your minor children. You are not responsible for the life and happiness of another adult. He managed somehow before you, and he will manage after you. His threats are purely blackmail. Freedom from guilt is like having heavy shackles removed. Suddenly you realize you have the right to live your own life, make your own decisions, and put your own interests first. That isn't selfishness. That is healthy self-respect. Step 13. On the path to reclaiming your power is mastering the art of the non-reaction. While it's closely linked to emotional detachment, I'm highlighting this separately because it deals with concrete actions, not just your inner state. The narcissist is constantly provoking you. They will throw out hooks, sarcastic jabs, backhanded compliments, and overtly passive-aggressive comments. Their sole aim is to snag you and elicit any reaction. Positive or negative, it makes no difference to them. A reaction, any reaction, confirms that they still have control over your emotional state. Your job is to learn how to keep from biting the bait. Picture yourself as a fish, and they are the fisherman. They cast the line, you see the lure, and you simply swim right past it. What does this look like in practice? They might say, "Oh, you're wearing that dress? That's an interesting choice." In the past, you would have immediately bristled and demanded, "What's wrong with it?" Hooked. This would spiral into an argument about your poor taste, or perhaps a lecture about how you've put on weight, and so on. Now, you either stay completely silent and smile as if it were a genuine compliment, or you offer a completely neutral response. Yes, it is. And then you immediately pivot the conversation to something mundane. By the way, did you remember to pick up the bread? You simply ignore the provocation entirely. You pretend you didn't notice the venom in their words. This requires immense self-control. Inside, you will feel everything boiling, but externally, you must remain perfectly calm, like the surface of a still lake on a windless day. Another common example is their attempts to trigger jealousy. They might casually mention an attractive new co-worker or start texting on their phone with a mysterious smile. Where before you would have launched an interrogation, now you project total indifference. You busy yourself with your own life, watching a movie, reading a book. You are demonstrating that their games no longer work on you. They have nothing left to hook you with. The absence of a reaction is the most devastating punishment you can inflict on a narcissist. It completely invalidates all their efforts. It's like performing on stage to an empty theatre. Their grand show, their manipulations, their dramas, all lose meaning when there is no audience. Initially, they will escalate the provocations. They will say increasingly hurtful things, trying to pierce your armor. This is their death throw. They cannot believe their magic has stopped working. Your job is simply to hold firm. Train yourself to develop this Teflon coating, allowing all their attempts to hurt you to simply slide right off. And remember, your silence and indifference are not signs of weakness. In this context, they are your most powerful weapon. It is a deafening silence that screams louder than any argument, "You mean nothing to me anymore." Strategy element number 14 is a complete, absolute ban on seeking revenge or trying to teach the narcissist a lesson. Once you start grasping the true extent of the manipulation and humiliation you endured, the natural human reaction is to seek vengeance. You want them to feel the exact same pain you did. You want to expose them publicly, rip off the mask, and show everyone their true colors. This is an understandable and very human desire. However, it is yet another trap they are subconsciously laying for you. Why? Because any attempt at revenge requires intense emotional involvement. You are once again dedicating your energy, your thoughts, and your precious time to them. You are back playing their game and strictly by their rules. The narcissist is a master of intrigue and behind-the-scenes warfare. They have been practicing this their entire life. You are an amateur trying to take on a professional on their home turf. You will lose. They will twist the narrative so expertly that you will somehow end up being the one at fault again. They will frame your attempts at exposure as slander and the spiteful revenge of a scorned woman or man. They will play the victim of your alleged irrationality. They will recruit mutual friends and even relatives, the so-called flying monkeys, to turn against you. And they will believe the narcissist because their good guy mask is incredibly convincing. The best revenge against a narcissist is your complete and utter indifference, coupled with your personal success. When you walk away and build a happy life without them, it delivers the most crushing blow imaginable to their fragile ego. It proves that they were not the center of your universe, that you can actually thrive and be happy without their magnificent presence. This is truly unbearable for them. So, take all that energy you were planning to use on revenge and redirect it onto yourself. Invest it into your career, your health, new relationships, and your passions. Become so successful and genuinely happy that your life automatically becomes a silent accusation against them. They will be watching you on social media, and they will absolutely be asking mutual acquaintances about your life. Every success, every smile in your photos will be like rubbing salt into their wounds. You won't even need to lift a finger, just live well. That is the most elegant and the most effective form of revenge. Any attempt to engage them in a direct confrontation or a smear campaign is a guaranteed loss and another dose of narcissistic supply you willingly hand over. Do not feed the troll. Simply exit their stage and start your own production, where you are the undisputed main character. The 15th step is recognizing and dismantling traumatic bonding. This is a crucial and complex aspect that explains why it is so incredibly difficult to leave a narcissist, even when you logically understand everything that's happening. Traumatic bonding is a biochemical addiction to your abuser, akin to a drug dependency. How does it form? Through the constantly repeating cycle of idealization, devaluation, and discard. During the idealization phase, what's often called love bombing, the narcissist showers you with adoration, and your brain releases powerful happiness hormones, dopamine and oxytocin. You feel euphoric. Then comes the devaluation phase, and they abruptly strip that feeling away. You experience painful withdrawal, much like an addict craving their fix. You become willing to do anything to recapture that beautiful initial state. When they finally throw you a tiny crumb of affection or approval, your brain receives its much-needed dose, and the cycle is cemented. Furthermore, stress hormones like cortisol are pumped out during intense situations like fights and scandals. This cocktail of stress hormones and pleasure hormones creates an unbelievably strong, toxic bond. You become addicted not so much to the person themselves, but to the wild emotional roller coaster they provide. The periods of calm and happiness seem especially brilliant set against the background of constant terror. You start confusing the relief that the torture has stopped with genuine love. It's like someone is hitting you over the head with a hammer, and then they stop for a minute. You would feel immense, blissful relief and be grateful to your tormentor for that brief respite. To break this toxic tie, you must first recognize the mechanism. Understand that this is not love, it's an addiction. You don't love him. You are dependent on the dopamine hits he occasionally doles out. Second, you must be ready for the intense withdrawal. When you decide to leave or distance yourself, your body will demand its usual fix. You will feel unbearable loneliness. You will idealize the past, remembering only the good times. It is absolutely crucial not to relapse during this period. This is exactly why you need a journal documenting the negative experiences. Reread it, call a friend, go for a walk. Do anything you need to do to ride out that intense craving. It will get weaker every single time. Third, you need to find healthy ways to get dopamine, exercise, hobbies, socializing with friends, achieving goals at work. You must teach your brain to find pleasure not in toxic roller coasters, but in normal, healthy things. Breaking traumatic bonding is a long process. It can take months. Be patient and compassionate with yourself. You aren't weak. You were poisoned. And right now, you are going through the necessary detoxification. The 16th step of the strategy is preparation for the disappearance, or as it's more commonly known, full no contact. This is the apex, the ultimate goal of all your previous work. Everything you've done so far, rebuilding your boundaries, saving money, establishing your external life, has been preparation for this final act. Full no contact is the only guaranteed 100% cure for narcissistic abuse. It means completely and permanently severing all channels of communication, blocking his phone number, accounts on all social media platforms, and email. You must avoid any places where you might run into him. Ask mutual friends not to pass along any information from him to you. You must vanish entirely from his radar. Why is this crucial? Because as long as even the thinnest thread of connection exists, he will tug at it. He will send you messages full of apologies and then switch to threats. He'll post photos on social media with a new partner to provoke jealousy. He will relay through acquaintances how much he is suffering. All of this is an attempt to pull you back into his game and extract supply. Even if you don't reply, just seeing his messages causes emotional engagement. You spend energy on it. Full no contact is the surgical removal of a toxic tumor. It is painful, but it is life-saving. If you share children, unfortunately, full no contact is impossible. In this scenario, we use the strategy of structured contact. You communicate only regarding matters concerning the children, only in writing, via email or a specialized co-parenting application. Keep it maximally dry, businesslike, and unemotional, as you would with a work colleague. No personal topics, no discussions about your past relationship. If he tries to bait you into an argument, you either ignore that portion of the message or reply simply, "I am only available to discuss the child's schedule." This is incredibly difficult, but it is absolutely necessary. Preparing for no contact is a major endeavor. You must be ready for it mentally, financially, and physically. You must have a solid plan, where you will go, who will support you, and what you will do during those first hardest weeks. You cannot leave impulsively, running off purely on emotion. Exiting a narcissist's life is not an impulse, it is a meticulously planned operation. And once you execute that plan, you will feel not only pain and fear, but also a tremendous, intoxicating sense of freedom. For the first time in a long time, you will be able to breathe completely freely. The 17th stage, which immediately follows your departure, is the battle with the flying monkeys. This is the psychological term for people in the narcissist's circle, friends, relatives, and colleagues, whom they use as tools for manipulation. When you leave and cut off all contact, the narcissist can't reach you directly. That's when they activate their entire spy network. They will launch a massive smear campaign against you. They will tell everyone how heartbroken and unfairly treated they are, and how cruelly you abandoned them. They will lie, twist the truth, cast themselves as the perpetual victim, and paint you as the monster. And many people will believe them because their carefully constructed facade of being a good person is incredibly convincing. Following this, the flying monkeys will start their attack. They will call and text you with various agendas. Some will attempt to shame and reason with you. They will say things like, "How could you do this to him? He loves you so much. Think about the kids." They will aggressively exploit your feelings of guilt. Others will act as peacemakers or mediators. They might urge, "You're both adults, just make up. He's suffering so much." Their goal is to get you back together. A third group will engage in espionage. They will coax information out of you under the guise of friendly concern. "How are you? What's new?" Only to report everything back to their master. How do you fight back? First, you must be prepared for this reality. Do not be surprised or heartbroken when people you considered friends suddenly take his side. They are also his victims, they simply don't realize it yet. Second, you do not need to justify yourself or prove anything to them. Do not engage in arguments or debates. You cannot convince them. Any attempt to explain the truth will be dismissed as, "She's just angry." Your best tactic is an informational blockade. To all their attempts to coax or cajole you, you respond once, calmly and firmly. "This is my decision. I am not discussing it." That's it. If they continue, you immediately cut off communication. Block their numbers, delete them from your contacts. Yes, you may lose some people from your life. It hurts, but this is a necessary cleansing. People who so easily believed slander and became instruments for the manipulator are not true friends. Your social circle will change over time. New people will enter your life who truly value and respect the real you. The old guard of flying monkeys will stay with your ex. And maybe, in time, one of them will become his next victim. And perhaps then they will finally understand you. But that will no longer be your problem. Step 18 marks a crucial phase, the period of grief and mourning. Many survivors of narcissistic abuse upon breaking free expect immediate happiness and relief. While relief certainly arrives, it is often quickly followed by a heavy wave of conflicting emotions. You might feel profound emptiness, longing, anger, or apathy. And this is completely normal. You must allow yourself to fully inhabit this process. You are not grieving the real person, you are grieving several things at once. First, you are mourning the illusion, the fantasy you bought into at the beginning. You are grieving the future you envisioned, which turned out to be a carefully constructed lie. You are saying goodbye to hope. Second, you are grieving the person you were before these relationships, that cheerful, trusting, open individual whom the abuse turned into an anxious, jumpy, high-strung wreck. You are mourning your lost innocence. Third, you are grieving the lost time, the months, and more often the years, you wasted on this destructive relationship. This is time you can never get back. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to be angry. Allow yourself to do nothing. Just lie there, staring at the ceiling. Do not attempt to numb these feelings with rebound relationships, alcohol, or work. They must be lived through, felt to the core, in order for them to leave forever. This is a necessary cleansing process. Your body and mind are finally purging the toxic buildup. Support is essential during this period. If you have friends or family who understand what you are going through, lean on them. Do not be ashamed to ask for help. If that support is insufficient or unavailable, the best course of action is to seek out a psychotherapist who specializes in narcissistic abuse recovery. A professional can help you process these emotions in a safe environment and provide the necessary tools for true healing. Remember, this grief is not a sign that you made the wrong decision. On the contrary, it is absolute proof that your healing has begun. You are finally allowing yourself to feel all the pain you suppressed while living with the narcissist. And once you pass through this dark tunnel, you will absolutely emerge into the light. Step 19, which is deeply connected to the grieving process, focuses on tackling post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and more specifically, complex PTSD or CPTSD. Many people don't realize this, but spending extended time in an abusive relationship with a narcissist often leads to the development of complex PTSD. While this isn't exactly the same as the PTSD seen in combat veterans, the underlying mechanisms are similar. Your nervous system was operating in a state of constant high alert. You were essentially living on a psychological minefield, never knowing where or when the next emotional explosion would occur. And even after you've left that battlefield, your nervous system continues to be stuck in fight or flight mode. So, what are the symptoms of CPTSD? They can include intrusive memories of traumatic events, flashbacks. You might experience frequent nightmares, heightened anxiety, a persistent feeling of impending danger, and easily being startled by sudden noises known as hypervigilance. You might also feel emotional numbness, an inability to experience joy. Difficulties with concentration and memory are common. There's often a feeling of detachment from the world and other people, and pervasive distrust of everyone around you, and, of course, the somatic manifestations that we've discussed previously. If you recognize yourself in this description, please know this: you are not losing your mind. This is a normal reaction to abnormal circumstances. Your psyche has been traumatized, and it needs time and dedicated help to recover. What should you do about it? First, you must acknowledge that this is a serious condition requiring attention. Don't just brush it off with phrases like, "I just need to pull myself together." This is not a matter of willpower. It's a matter of brain biochemistry and the functioning of your nervous system. Second, specialized help is crucial here. Psychotherapy, particularly modalities like EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or somatic experiencing, is highly effective for trauma work. These methods help your brain process the traumatic memories and soothe your overstimulated nervous system. Third, you need to learn self-regulation techniques. This includes breathwork, meditation, and mindfulness practices. They help you reclaim a sense of control over your state in the here and now, allowing you to break free from the grip of anxiety. The physical self-care we've discussed before also plays a pivotal role here. Healthy sleep, proper nutrition, and moderate physical activity, all of these things help bring your nervous system back into balance. Healing trauma is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be setbacks and there will be bad days. That's okay. The key is to keep moving forward, step by step, with self-love and compassion. You survived the war. Now your task is to learn how to live in peace. The 20th step, the one that truly marks the transition from mere survival to actually living, is rediscovering and reclaiming your identity. Who are you? What do you love? What do you dream about? After years spent with a narcissist, you probably can't answer those questions. Your personality was erased, dissolved, or simply replaced. You became a reflection of his desires, his moods, and his rules. You loved the music he approved of. You watched the movies he chose. You even dreamed about things he deemed appropriate or right. Now is the time to get acquainted with yourself again. This is a fascinating and sometimes frightening process. Start with simple things. Try to remember what you loved doing as a child before you ever met him. Maybe you enjoyed drawing, dancing, doing puzzles. Try doing it again. Not for the result, but purely for the process. Pay attention to your feelings. Start experimenting. Go shopping and buy an outfit in the color he always criticized, but which you secretly loved. Order a dish at a restaurant you've never tasted before. Turn on the radio and find a station where the music truly resonates with you. This process is like an archaeological excavation. Layer by layer, you are stripping away the imposed tastes and beliefs to get back to your true self. Start keeping a joy journal. Every evening, write down 3 to 5 things that brought you pleasure throughout the day. This could be something monumental, or maybe just a tiny detail. Delicious coffee, a stranger's smile, a beautiful song. This exercise will teach you to notice the good again and recognize exactly what brings you joy. Be prepared for the fact that some things you believed were inherently yours might turn out to be imposed beliefs. Others, conversely, may open up in unexpected ways. This is a process of trial and error. Don't be afraid to change. You might discover that you are not the person you thought you were at all. And that is wonderful. You are not going back to your old self. You are creating a new, wiser, stronger, and more authentic version of yourself, one who went through the fire and survived. And this new you deserves to be recognized and loved, most importantly, by yourself. Step 21 is all about learning how to handle healthy anger. In our society, anger is often labeled a negative emotion, something we're told we must suppress. This is especially true for women who are conditioned from childhood to be agreeable, sweet, and easy to manage. The narcissist exploits this vulnerability relentlessly. He trains you to believe that any expression of your rage is proof that you are hysterical or unstable. Any time you tried to assert yourself or show displeasure, you were met with either aggressive backlash or outright accusations of being crazy. Consequently, you simply forgot how to get angry. You began to fear your own rage, you suppressed it, and that suppressed energy morphed into self-sabotage, self-criticism, illness, or passive aggression. Now you must reclaim your right to be angry. Healthy anger is not volatile fury, nor is it the desire to destroy. It is a vital warning system built into your psyche. Think of it as your internal guard, yelling, "Warning! My boundaries have been violated. My core values are under threat." It is pure energy for self-defense and for driving necessary change. So, how do you learn healthy anger? First, legitimize it. Tell yourself, I have the absolute right to be angry when I am treated unfairly. My anger is a completely normal reaction. Stop shaming yourself for feeling this emotion. Secondly, learn to recognize it. Anger often disguises itself as low-grade irritation, deep resentment, persistent headaches, or that strong urge to simply walk away from everything. Start tracking these subtle states and ask yourself directly, am I actually angry right now? And if so, who or what am I angry at? Thirdly, establish safe ways to release your rage. You cannot bottle it up, but neither can you take it out on innocent bystanders. What are some healthy outlets? Hit a pillow, scream loudly in your car or in an isolated area. Write a fury letter to the person who hurt you, one you will never send, and then destroy it by burning or ripping it up. Alternatively, release the energy through intense physical exercise, running, boxing, or dancing. These methods effectively relieve the physical tension that builds up alongside anger. And finally, the masterclass, the ultimate goal, is learning to harness that energy constructively. When you feel that surge of rage, ask yourself, what unmet need is this signaling? What concrete action can I take right now to protect my boundaries and change this situation? For example, if you are angry at a coworker who constantly dumps their responsibilities on you, the energy of that anger can finally give you the strength to approach them and firmly state, "No, I won't be doing that. That is your task." Healthy anger is your power. It is the fuel source for positive change. By reclaiming it, you ensure that no one will ever violate your boundaries with impunity again. Step 22 involves developing your emotional intelligence and learning to spot red flags. After leaving a relationship with a narcissist, many victims experience a paralyzing fear of starting new relationships. They often feel like they'll never be able to trust anyone again. They are afraid of making the same mistake of falling back into a manipulator's trap. This fear is completely understandable, but it can lead to total isolation. The solution isn't to shut everyone out. It's to develop an internal radar that helps you recognize toxic people early on. You have already received a painful but highly effective vaccine. Now, your task is to analyze your experience and compile a list of red flags. What things made you uneasy at the very start of the relationship, but you chose to ignore? Sit down and write them out. These can be anything. For example, excessively fast bonding, the so-called love bombing. When someone talks about eternal love, children, and growing old together after just the second date. This isn't romantic. It's a major warning sign. It could be disrespect for your boundaries, constant tardiness, unsolicited advice, or attempts to control your choices. It might also be their poor treatment of others, how they speak to waiters, how they talk about their ex-partners, who are all crazy, or how they treat their own parents. A person who doesn't respect other people will eventually stop respecting you too. Another flag is the victim narrative. Constant complaints about life, about unfairness, or feeling like nobody understands them. Or it could be an inability to take responsibility. In their problems, someone else is always to blame. This list will become your personal checklist. And the next time you go on a date, you won't just be enjoying the conversation, you'll be subconsciously scanning the person for these flags. This doesn't mean you should become paranoid, but if you spot 3 or 4 of these flags, it's a serious reason to be cautious and avoid rushing into closeness. Developing emotional intelligence also means learning to listen to your intuition and to your body. Think back, when you were around the narcissist, your body was likely sending you signals, a sinking feeling in your stomach, or unexplained tension. You simply ignored those signals because your logical mind told you everything is fine. Learn to trust your body. If you feel uncomfortable around someone, even if you can't explain why, that is reason enough to be cautious. Your experience, however painful it was, is now your superpower. It has taught you things no book ever could. Use this power to build only healthy and safe relationships moving forward. Step 23 is all about building a robust support system. One of the narcissist's primary strategies is the isolation of their victim. They deliberately cut you off from friends, cause rifts with your family members, all to become your sole universe. When you finally leave these relationships, you often find yourself in a vacuum, and this is incredibly dangerous. Loneliness is the exact thing that can pull you back into the abuser's clutches. Even a toxic relationship can feel preferable to complete solitude. That's why establishing a new, healthy support network is a mission of critical importance. What components should this system include? First, reconnect with old friends and family members you might have lost touch with. Don't be afraid to take the first step. Call them, text them, and briefly explain the situation without needing excessive detail or assigning blame. Simply state that you were in a difficult place and desperately need support. True friends will understand and forgive the gap. Second, focus on making new connections. Join a hobby club, sign up for a class, or start volunteering. Look for people who share your values and interests. Don't pressure yourself to find immediate close friends. Just socialize, expand your circle, and allow yourself to feel like a meaningful part of society again. Third, and this is crucial, are support groups designed for survivors of narcissistic abuse. You can find these online or in your local community. Connecting with people who have walked the same path, who have been through the same hell, is absolutely invaluable. You won't have to explain anything. You will be understood instantly. You will see that you are not alone in your struggle. You can share your pain, receive support, and eventually start supporting others. This process provides an incredible sense of strength and healing. Fourth, your support system must include a professional, a psychotherapist. Friends can listen and offer sympathy, but they cannot provide the professional tools needed to work through trauma. Your therapist is your guide on the road to recovery. Finally, your ultimate support system is you. You must become your own best friend. Learn to support yourself during difficult moments, celebrate your small victories, and forgive yourself for mistakes and setbacks. Your main foundation lies within you. Everyone else in your support network is helpful, but they are a supplement, a bonus. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a profound sign of strength and self-awareness. Step number 24 is forgiveness. And here, we need to be extremely careful because this word is so often misunderstood. The forgiveness I am talking about has nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with forgiving the narcissist. You don't owe him forgiveness. Forgiving him means saying, what you did was okay, and I don't hold any resentment. But what he did was not okay. It was abuse. Forgiving your abuser invalidates your suffering, and it opens the door for the whole cycle to repeat. This step is about forgiving yourself. This is one of the most difficult yet most crucial stages of healing. Victims of narcissistic abuse often carry an enormous burden of shame and guilt. You blame yourself for not seeing the truth sooner, for allowing him to treat you that way, for wasting so many years, for not leaving earlier. That inner critic can be far more brutal than any narcissist ever was. You must understand and accept several key truths. First, this is not your fault. You didn't end up in this situation because you are stupid or weak. You ended up here because you are an empathetic, trusting, and kind person. These are the very qualities narcissists seek in their victims. He chose you because you are a fundamentally good person. He weaponized your best traits against you. Second, you could not have left sooner. You were doing the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. Trauma bonding, gaslighting, isolation, these are incredibly powerful tools of control. It is enormously difficult to break free from that system. You left when you were finally able to, and that, in itself, is a heroic victory. Third, you need to forgive yourself for those mistakes. For trusting him, for having hope, for going back. These were not mistakes. This was your path. It was your experience. Yes, it was painful, but it made you wiser and stronger. To forgive yourself means treating yourself with the same compassion you would show your best friend if they were in the exact same situation. You wouldn't blame them, would you? You would hug them and say, "This is not your fault. You are a victim, and I am so proud that you made it out." Say those words to yourself. Look at your reflection and declare, "I forgive you. You did the absolute best you could. Now, we move forward differently." This act of self-forgiveness lifts the heaviest burden of shame and unlocks the path to true self-love. Step 25. Creating new life goals and meaning. While you were in a relationship with a narcissist, your entire life essentially revolved around one single goal, catering to their needs and desperately trying to survive. Your dreams, your ambitions, and your personal plans were either pushed to the back burner or completely annihilated. They were your main project. Now that they are gone from your life, an existential void can form. You might feel totally lost and confused, asking yourself, what now? What is there to live for? This is an absolutely normal state to be in, but in this emptiness lies enormous potential. Now you have the opportunity to fill your life with the meaning you choose. This is your chance to build the life of your dreams without worrying about other people's opinions or needing their approval. So, where do you start? Start by taking an inventory of your desires. Grab a piece of paper and write down 100 of your I wants. Don't worry about whether they're realistic or not. Just write down whatever comes to mind. I want ice cream. I want to go to Paris. I want to learn the guitar. I want a dog. I want a new job. I want to write a book. This list will become your desire map. Look at it. What can you do today? Or this week? Eat the ice cream? Great. Go do it. These small, realized I wants will start bringing the flavor back into your life. Next, look at the bigger goals. What truly lights you up? Maybe you've always dreamed of starting your own small business, or traveling, or perhaps helping others. Choose just one or two major goals and start moving toward them, one small step at a time. Break the big goal down into smaller, manageable tasks. The very process of moving toward your goal, not someone else's, will fill you with energy and meaning. It is vital to understand that your new meaning in life must not be tied to another person. The temptation to immediately jump into a new relationship and make it your new project is huge. This is a dead end. You risk repeating the same mistakes and falling back into old patterns. Your primary project for the foreseeable future is yourself. Your career, your health, your personal development, your hobbies. Once you become a whole, self-sufficient, and interesting individual living a truly fulfilling life, healthy, harmonious relationships will naturally enter your life as a nice bonus, not as the sole source of meaning. Creating this new life is the most creative and exciting stage of your recovery. You are the author of your own story, and now you finally get to write it exactly the way you want. Step 26 is radical acceptance of your past. After you have completed immense healing work, it can be tempting to try to erase that entire period, to forget it like a bad dream. You might feel deep shame for allowing it to happen, wishing you could pretend those years never even existed, but that is impossible, and worse yet, it is actively harmful. Your past, no matter what it holds, is a part of you. Trying to deny it is like trying to chop off your own arm. It drains a massive amount of energy and creates intense internal conflict. Radical acceptance does not mean you condone what happened to you. It does not mean it was a good thing. It means you accept the simple fact, yes, this happened in my life. It was a terrible, traumatic experience, but it occurred, and it made me who I am today. This is a position of strength, not victimhood. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You start asking, what is this for? What lesson did I take from it? What did I learn? How did this experience make me stronger? Try to find at least a few gifts in that dark period. For example, maybe you learned to read people better. Perhaps you learned to truly value yourself and your boundaries. You might have become more compassionate toward the pain of others. You found strength you never knew you possessed. You shed illusions and became wiser. When you look at your experience from this perspective, it stops being just a black hole in your biography. It becomes your unique resource, your catalyst for growth. You can even thank your past for the lessons it provided. This is not thanking an abuser, it's thanking life for the opportunity to become better and stronger. Radical acceptance is like signing a peace treaty with yourself. You stop fighting your past. You integrate it fully into your life story. And when you do that, it ceases to hold power over you. It no longer causes pain every time you remember it. It simply becomes a chapter in your book, a chapter you have turned, moving forward, enriched by the experience. Then you can tell your story not from the stance of a victim, but from the position of a survivor who walked through the fire and emerged unbreakable. Step 27 is about embracing healthy self-regard. The word selfishness carries a lot of negative baggage in our culture. Since childhood, we've been taught to prioritize others, to share, and above all, to be accommodating. A narcissist takes this principle to an absurd extreme, convincing you that any need or desire you have that conflicts with theirs is proof of monstrous selfishness. As a result, you completely forget that you have a right to your own wishes. You start living by the mantra, as long as they're happy, I'll be fine. Healthy self-regard is the exact opposite of what the narcissist accused you of. This doesn't mean stepping over others or ignoring the feelings of people around you. It means prioritizing yourself, your physical and mental health, and your core interests in your own life. It is the realization that you are the most important person in your own universe. This isn't arrogance, it's basic psychological hygiene. How does this manifest in practice? You learn to say no without guilt. If someone asks you to do something that is inconvenient, disadvantageous, or you simply don't want to do, you have every right to refuse. You are not obligated to be a people pleaser. You start dedicating time and resources to yourself. A trip to the spa, buying a new book, or even just an hour of quiet time with a cup of tea. These are not luxuries or whims, they are necessities. Think of it like refueling your car. If you don't fill the tank, you simply won't get anywhere. You stop engaging with people who drain you or tear you down. This includes relatives or old friends. If you consistently feel depleted after interacting with someone, you have the right to minimize contact or cut it off entirely. Your peace of mind is more important than social conventions. You start listening to your own desires and acting on them, even if someone else thinks they are stupid or wrong. Want to dye your hair purple? Go for it. Want to quit a job you hate and start over? That is absolutely your right. Mastering healthy self-regard is about reclaiming yourself. It's like telling the world, "Hello, I exist, and my needs matter." Initially, this might feel strange, and will likely meet resistance from people who are used to you being compliant and agreeable, but over time they will either accept your new boundaries or they will move on, and that's for the best, because only those who genuinely value and respect you as an individual will remain by your side. Step 28 is all about returning to trust. First, trusting yourself, and then extending that trust to the world and to other people. After the experience with a narcissist, trust is completely shattered. You stop believing in your own judgment, your decisions, and your ability to choose partners. It feels like your internal compass is permanently broken. The world seems like a hostile place, full of predators and manipulators. Living in this state is incredibly difficult. That's why the gradual restoration of trust is a vital phase of healing. You must begin by trusting yourself. How do you do that? Through small promises that you make and consistently keep. Did you promise yourself you'd wake up 10 minutes earlier and do a quick stretch, then get up and do it? Did you promise to read a book this evening instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media? Follow through. Every time you fulfill a commitment to yourself, you reinforce your self-worth and your belief in your own word. You are essentially telling your subconscious, "Look, I can be counted on, I won't let myself down." Once you start trusting yourself, you can move on to trusting others. But caution is key here. Trust is not something you hand out as an advance to everyone you meet, the way you might have done before. Trust must be earned. In new relationships or encounters, apply the principle of slow burn. Don't dive in head first. Get to know the person gradually. Look at their actions, not just their words. Do their deeds match their claims? Are they reliable in the small things? Do they keep their promises? Observe how they interact with others. How do they handle conflict? Don't rush it. Allow trust to grow organically over time. And remember that you are no longer that naive victim. You have your experience and your internal red flag radar. You already know how to spot manipulation. Therefore, you can allow yourself to be open while still remaining vigilant. Trust is not blindness, it is a conscious choice. You choose to believe that there are good and decent people in the world while retaining the right to test and protect your boundaries. And when you meet such a person, you will be able to build a relationship based not on trauma bonding, but on mutual respect, honesty, and genuine intimacy. That will be the greatest reward for everything you have been through. Step PSY 29, the penultimate one that leads you onto the home stretch, is all about transforming your experience into wisdom, and perhaps even into a mission. At a certain point in your healing journey, you'll notice that the pain of the past begins to fade. Your memories no longer trigger a sharp, visceral reaction. You can talk about what happened calmly without being overwhelmed by tears or anger. This is the clear sign that the trauma has been processed and fully integrated. Now you're ready for the next step, transforming that scar into a source of strength, not just for you, but for others. How do you do that? You can start by sharing your story, not to vent or complain, but to reach out and help those who are just beginning this journey. You could write a social media post, leave a comment under a relevant video, or even attend a support group as a mentor or a seasoned veteran. You will be astonished by how many people resonate with your story. Your experience can become a lifeline for someone else, proof that they are not alone and that there is absolutely a way out. If you feel a deeper calling, you can take it further. You might volunteer at a crisis center, pursue a degree in psychology, and specialize in trauma recovery, start a blog or channel dedicated to this topic, or even write a book. Your personal history, coupled with professional knowledge, becomes your unique superpower. You will speak the same language as those you help because you have genuinely walked in their shoes. This isn't to say that everyone who survived abuse must become a rescuer for others. It is not an obligation. But for many, this work becomes a natural calling and provides a profound new sense of purpose. By helping others, you solidify your own healing, confirming your role not as a victim, but as a survivor and a victor. You transform your personal hell into a powerful tool that brings more light and awareness into the world. This is the highest form of sublimation. You take the darkest chapter of your life and forge it into something beautiful and profoundly useful. And in that moment, you realize it wasn't all for nothing. Your pain had meaning. It wasn't just senseless suffering, but the payment you made for your wisdom, your strength, and your ability to change the world for the better, even if it's just for one single person. And so we arrive at the 30th and final step. This isn't really a step, it's a state of being that permanently becomes your new normal. Let's call this sovereign independence. It is the condition where you finally, irrevocably, reclaim the power over your own life. You are no longer a victim. You are no longer just a survivor. You are the author, the creator, and the master of your reality. What defines this state? First, you are no longer afraid of narcissists. You see right through them. Their attempts to charm or manipulate evoke not fear, but rather boredom or pity. You're like an experienced bomb disposal expert who spots the minefield from a distance and simply walks around it. You don't engage in the battle, you just refuse to play their game. Second, your happiness and self-worth are no longer dependent on external factors, especially the opinion or presence of another person. You find joy and stability within yourself. You are perfectly comfortable in your own company. You value healthy relationships, but you don't cling to them. You know that even if you end up alone, you will be fine. Your universe resides inside you, not in someone else. Third, you live in the present. The past no longer weighs you down. You've extracted the lessons and let it go. The future doesn't scare you. You look toward it with curiosity and self-trust. You savor the here and now. Fourth, you build your life according to your true values. You choose work that brings satisfaction, not just money. You surround yourself with people who nurture and support your growth. You do what you love. You live not according to external demands, the way you should, but exactly the way you choose. Sovereign independence is not a destination. It is a continuous process. It is the constant choice to prioritize yourself. It is the daily practice of self-love, boundary respect, and fidelity to your own values. This is the true victory over the narcissist. The real victory is not their destruction. The real victory is their complete and total vanishing from your frame of reference. They become just a passerby, a shadow from the past that holds zero power over you. You didn't defeat them. You defeated the part of yourself that allowed them to be destructive. You have reclaimed your power. And that is a victory no one ever can take away from you. And so let's wrap this up. The only way to truly defeat a narcissist is not by trying to change them, argue with them, or prove a point. The only way is to completely exit their frame of reference. You have to stop being their source of supply, whether that's emotional, informational, or anything else. This is a comprehensive strategy we call the black hole. It involves abandoning illusions, dismantling the rescuer role, adopting an information diet, achieving emotional detachment, building your own external world, and finally, absolute no contact. This is a long and difficult road, requiring both courage and unwavering consistency. It's a journey that moves from awareness through pain and healing towards finding complete, sovereign independence. This isn't about delivering a defeat in a single battle. It's about winning the entire war by simply leaving the playing field and building your own beautiful world, a world they have no access to. That's quite a shift in perspective, isn't it? Victory is not their collapse, it is your rise. Thank you for watching this long and hopefully helpful video all the way to the end. If you found value in this discussion, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. And in the comments below, I want to ask you, which of the 30 steps we described felt like the most challenging or the most crucial for you? Share your thoughts, because your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Remember, you are not alone, and you are so much stronger than you think.